If you have any interest in handheld gaming PCs or even PC gaming in general, then you must have seen this making the news in the past few weeks. In fact, a lot of tech reviewers and content creators have been talking about this device since April, and so far, the outcome has actually been very positive. But of course, the catch is that most, if not all, the reviews that have been out there are attached to some sort of embargo or deal with Asus, which kind of puts a limitation on some of the aspects that can be said about it. But that ends today because the ROG Ally is finally officially out for consumers, and we were one of the lucky ones to receive our unit on release day. So what I'm going to do today is give an honest opinion on how this handheld gaming PC performs from a gamer's point of view, and go through some key tricks and features that I haven't seen anyone else mention before. So, anyways, now that the unboxing is out of the way, let us hold no further delay and give you an honest perspective on what this awesome gadget can offer today. Right, let's start with the positive things that I have noticed in the time that I have had so far. And the first one would have to be the fact that this comes preloaded with and optimized for Windows. And yes, I know Windows is not meant for handheld gaming PCs and can be super buggy, but that's not the point, because when it comes to compatibility or even gaming performance, Windows for me is so much better than Linux. In fact, that was actually the reason why I sold my Steam Deck. I found that the limitation on only running Linux optimized games and having to go a hassle to get Windows installed on Steam is just not good. And even when I managed to install Windows on the Steam Deck, some games were still really struggling to run smoothly. And some game launchers like GOG or Epic Games were having real issues with syncing game saves. It was just not a great experience overall. So yeah, having Windows and Asus's optimizations all there ready for you to install and enjoy your games makes it one of the most important features for me. Now, before we move on to performance, I'm sure some of you are thinking, wait, you haven't mentioned any specifications yet. Well, that's because there are already a ton of reviews out there with this information, so I wanted to do something different. But for those of you that haven't seen any yet, here are some of the specs that I believe are important to know about. The CPU, which is AMD's Ryzen Z1 Extreme with 8 cores, 16 threads, 24 megabytes cache, and up to 5.10 gigahertz boost. The GPU, which is also AMD, so this is the Radeon RDNA 3 with up to 2.7 gigahertz and up to 8.6 teraflops. The fact that the screen is a full HD 1080p display and it has a 120 Hz refresh rate. And I haven't seen anyone mention this before, but you actually get a built-in fingerprint sensor with Microsoft Pluton security processor. Also, you get free 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate. Okay, so now let's briefly talk about performance. But please keep in mind that I am trying to make this review more about the user's hands-on experience and less about benchmarks or numbers. And yes, I did have some technical issues that I will address later on in the video, but just that fact that I can run games like Dirt 5 with great-looking visuals, as you can see, and at a frame rate of up to 60 FPS is amazing. I was also able to run some less power-demanding games like those 2 games downloaded from the Game Pass library. And those were running at, get this, 120 FPS with 1080p resolution, and that was running on battery. That's just insane, right? I also wanted to test an old game, so here I have Dishonored 2 running at medium graphics, and I was able to get it to run at about 90 FPS. So overall, I am happy to say that I am definitely satisfied with gaming performance. So I've seen a few questions that people are asking online, and I thought it would be a good idea to go through ones I have the answers to. The first one is, what's the experience like when using the Ally with an external monitor or TV? And I would say it's not bad. It does work as expected, and there's no lag when you're using the gamepad, but you should probably just use an Xbox controller or any gaming controller you already have. Second question, is there an official carry case? Well, yes, of course there is. It's not the best. It feels quite flimsy and cheap, but it is definitely made officially for the ROG Ally, and it is good enough to keep it safe during travels. And then the final question is, can this device be used as just a Windows PC? And again, the answer is yes, it absolutely can. All you need is to connect a wireless mouse and keyboard, or just use the touchscreen. You don't even need to connect it to an external display if you're just doing a simple task like browsing. Okay, now let's move on to some easily missable tricks and features within the provided software that I think everyone should know about. And we'll start with an app that most people will ignore, but it actually has a ton of great features inside. And don't worry, I'm not going to go through everything in here, but those two features I believe are the best. The first one is under the Customizations tab, which is split into two sections. If you want to maintain your battery's lifespan for a longer period before it needs servicing, then I would recommend switching battery care mode on. Or, if you're like me, and you care more about getting the best gaming performance, then don't bother with the battery care and select Games under the Task First section. Then finally, if you have multiple Wi-Fi routers or mesh networks around your house, then make sure to have Wi-Fi Smart Connect on as well. Now, if you go to the Customer Support section, you will find some stats preview on the top. But more importantly, when you scroll down, as you can see, you can actually run hardware diagnostics right here. So, if you experience any issues, you can at least get an idea of whether it's a software or hardware problem. The final few hidden features I have for you are going to be within the Armory Crate app. So let's start by going to the Content tab and select Featured. And there's a couple of cool things in here. One, you can get a ton of discounts and deals on new games, including ones that haven't been released yet. And I did actually check to make sure it's legit as well. And two, if you never used an Asus product before, you definitely need to go to the Content Platform tab, where you can get some incredible wallpapers for free. Now, as I mentioned before, I did experience some issues, so let's quickly go through some potential concerns. Thankfully, almost all of the problems I've encountered were firmware-related and will hopefully be resolved with an upcoming update. But I said almost because the only sort of hardware issue I will mention is battery life. I mean, yes, I know this is kinda expected, but if you're running games on battery while performance or turbo mode is on, it will not last for more than an hour. The only other major issue I've had was unexpected shutdowns, and that did happen a few times randomly. But again, I believe that is more of a system overload rather than a CPU or power supply problem. So all things considered, I will say that this is honestly a great handheld PC. It is made by Asus, which are a trusted brand. And to get something like this with similar specs that can run Windows natively, you are looking at a price tag of at least $1,000. So I think with software updates and game performance enhancements, this device has the potential to be the best handheld gaming PC out there. And if you've made it this far in the video, then I think it's only fair to let you know that I am not actually a human being. The review was created and written by a human, but I am an AI-generated voice, so I would love to know your thoughts on that, please. Did you figure it out immediately? Does it make much of a difference listening to an AI? Let me know in the comments, please. Otherwise, as always, thank you very much for watching. Until next time.